Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste
हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं गुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Take the cordless mic and read Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text number 5. Guruna hatva hi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhakshamapi haloke हत्वार्थ कामांस्तु गुरो निहैव भुञ्जेय भोगान् रुधिरप्रदिग्धान्. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Read the purport.
According to scripture,
ये काम नहीं कर रहा है? नहीं. ठीक है, मैं आ गई.
according to spiritual quotes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations.
Wait, here it is said the teacher should be abandoned if he is engaging in sinful action. That is all right, that you can abandon the teacher, but you can never lose the respect for the teacher. See, teacher is abandoned in so many different situations. Here, one situation is mentioned that if the teacher is engaged in sinful action, then you abandon him. If teacher gets some very bad disease that by coming near to him you will be infected, then also you have to abandon him. You have to take new teacher. If the teacher if the teacher becomes very old, unable to teach now, then also you have to abandon. So there could be different situations when you may have to abandon the teacher. Here one case is mentioned that he is engaged in sinful actions. That doesn't mean that you will lose the respect for the teacher. Teacher is engaged in sinful action. But if you are losing respect for the teacher, then you are also not following the scriptural law. Scripture says that those who are your elders, superiors, higher in post, higher in ashram, in so many respects, if from any perspective anyone is superior than you are supposed to respect them. Someone may be higher in age, but lower in varna. You are of Brahman and another person is Kshatriya. So Kshatriya Varna is lower than Brahman. So because he is high in age, though he is lower in Varna, but because he is high in age, you are supposed to respect. Shringi did this mistake. He thought that Kshatriya Varna is lower and they are doing like this, so I have a right to punish. No, you are supposed to respect. So, from any perspective, if someone is superior than you are supposed to respect, irrespective of other considerations. So, Drona and Bhishma, they are higher in age, higher also in terms of relationship. So, though they may be engaged in sinful activities, still you are supposed to respect them. You may not accept their teachings, but you are supposed to offer them due respect as per scriptural principle. So respect has to be offered. Now, Bhishma and Drona, they took the side of adharma just because they were receiving the financial support from Duryodhana. That is wrong. That means one should never give up the principles of dharma at the cost of any of the material consideration. One can never lose the principles of dharma. You have to always abide by the principles of dharma. Just because of some material benefit, you cannot break the principles of dharma. So, Here, Dronacharya, he is breaking the principle of dharma because he is receiving financial support. That means you should not earn the wealth by sinful means. You should not earn the wealth by practicing adharma. Okay. That adharma could be of very, very small level, but we should not get into it. One may say that I don't know what is dharma and adharma. People say like this, I was not knowing. One simple way to understand is whether one simple way to understand is if the same thing is done to you, are you ready to accept it? If you are not ready to accept it, if same thing is done to you, that means it is adharma. This is one way. Second way to understand adharma is those who are your true well-wishers, those who are concerned about you and are ready to sacrifice themselves for you, are they approving it? So I will just explain it with an example. For example, drinking or smoking. So or like many people don't understand that drinking or smoking is adharma. And everyone is drinking and smoking. But those who are truly your well-wishers, will they approve it? They will not. So that way one can understand. And of course, if you have some little understanding of scriptures, you will understand. So one can very easily understand what is dharma and adharma. So for material benefits, one should never break the principles of dharma. Only on the basis of dharma, artha should be earned or wealth should be earned. All right. And the wealth which is earned by practicing the religious principles, that wealth should be used to purchase your bodily needs. Okay. And in this way, you should live your life in devotion to Supreme Lord, and then you will attain liberation. That is the principle. But if you are not practicing dharma, if you are involved in some sinful activities, then the wealth which is earned out of that sinful activity is already contaminated. And with that wealth, even if you try to purchase some your needs and luxury, you will not be happy. And I will explain you with simple example. In modern times, people have a lot of wealth. And in most of the cases, that wealth is earned by adharma. In most of the cases, that wealth is earned by adharma. And though they have so much of wealth, they are not able to enjoy it. Either they are too much busy into work and not able to enjoy the luxury which they have. They may be having very big size television at their home. How much time they have to see it, isn't it? They may be having big houses. How much time they have to stay there? They may be having very good food to eat, but what kind of health they have to eat it? So people have a lot of wealth, but they are not able to enjoy it. Why? Because all that wealth is earned by sinful means. You can analyze it very clearly. You don't have to go into very deep analysis. Just take one common person, how much wealth he has, how is his life. See it, isn't it? All that wealth is there in just bank or wherever, or even if it is spent for different purchasing different things, how much he is able to enjoy. Only for the namesake, it appears that he is so wealthy, but his life is troubled. So this is the situation. That if you earn the wealth with sinful means, you will not be able to enjoy it. Guaranteed. So better earn wealth with religious means. Don't do sinful activity. And if you are, first of all, we should avoid the sinful activities. But if you are bound, situations like that, world is very bad today. If you are bound to put your hand in some sin, no option. In that case, you should ensure that your life is very much devoted to Supreme Lord. Because only by offering that wealth in devotion to Supreme Lord, that wealth will be purified. Only by offering in devotion to Supreme Lord. So then you live your life very much in devotion. Because you don't have any other option. So otherwise you will not be happy. So one should not break the principles of dharma just to get some material luxury or needs. It should not be done. So Drona and Bhishma, they supported Duryodhan who was on the side of adharma. That was not good. Read further.
Under the circumstances, they have lost.
Just and hold on. I will give one example for the situation when one is bound to support adharma. One is bound. I did not give the example earlier. For example, one lady is there who is married to a person, and that person is sinful. What to do? She has to live with him. So she is bound now. She has no other option. So best is if you can keep yourself away from such sinful involvement. But if you are bound, if you have no other option, then you should live your life highly in devotion. So that's all. Read further.
Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers.
Wait. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of the teachers. Yes, they have lost the respectability of the teachers, but you should not lose the etiquette of offering respect to them. They have lost the respectability, but you should not lose the etiquette of offering the respect to them. Okay, read further.
But Arjun thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors.
See, this is good attitude of Arjuna. Yes, they have performed the sins, they are supporting the adharma, still they are my superior. This is right attitude. But what is wrong with Arjuna is that yes, he's supposed to offer respect to them. That doesn't mean that he should give up his responsibility, the higher responsibility to, to protect the citizens of the kingdom. Just because I'm offering respect to them doesn't mean that I'm going to support the sinful activities of them. I will offer respect to them, but I will never support their sin. There is a saying, hate the sin, not the sinner. This is what it means. Yes, you should not support the sinful activity, but that doesn't mean that you will lose the respect for the person. Still respect him, support him, help him to come out of the sin. So hate the sin, not the sinner. So one should respect. Okay, read further.
But Arjun thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood.
To enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. Is correct. If you are enjoying material profits at the cost of killing others, yes, you're enjoying the facilities tainted with blood. But Arjuna is not expected to enjoy material profits. He is expected to serve Supreme Lord. Whatever material profits he is getting, all the material profits he is expected to serve in devotion to Supreme Lord, not to enjoy. You understand? Then it is not tainted with blood. Because when you offer in devotion to Krishna, Krishna purifies everything. Okay? So Arjuna is not supposed to enjoy and he will not enjoy. He will offer his life in devotion to Krishna. Next verse. Na chaitadvidmah katananno gariyo yadva jayema yadivano jayeyo याने वहत्वा न जिजीविषाम स्तेव स्थिता प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्रा. Read translation.
Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield.
So now Arjuna is confused. He doesn't know what to do. We don't know what is good. To kill them or being killed by them. If we kill them, then we should not live at the cost of killing them because that is not good. But situations like this, that they are in front of us and fighting takes place. So what to do? So Arjuna is confused. Purport, read.
Arjun did not know whether he should fight and risk unnecessary violence, although fighting is the duty of Kshatriya, or whether he should refrain and live by begging.
Wait. So two options Arjuna has: fight or beg. Both are having negative consequence. So what to do? So in the life it happens. Situation comes and you don't know what to do. If I do this, this is the problem. If I do that, that is the problem. Isn't it? What to do? So in that situation, it is advised that wait and take the guidance of those who are experienced in that. All right. Shall I invest money in this business or not? If I invest, this is the risk. If I don't invest, then something else, whatever. Wait. Take the advice of the superiors who are experienced in that. Like that. So one should wait. One should not just take the decision abruptly and immediately. In some cases, just like fighting or becoming angry upon someone, all these things which are of little bit negative nature, affected with mode of passion and ignorance, it is better to keep oneself away unless you are advised by some superior person for it. It is as far as Arjuna's choice is concerned, to not fight is a good choice actually. But because Krishna is telling him that you should fight, thus he should fight. Otherwise, fighting is not a very good option. Only because Krishna is advising and it is for the higher cause, thus is right. So, for such options of fighting or becoming angry or like that, which is affected more with passion and ignorance, one should be careful. Read further.
If he did not conquer the enemy, begging would be his only means of subsistence.
Wait. Yeah. If he doesn't fight, then the only option is begging. But begging is also not an option for Kshatriya. I spoke in the last class. One should never beg. Begging bhiksha, Hare Krishna. A disciple on behalf of Guru goes to different houses and begs some charity. That is different from begging. A disciple is begging not for his sustenance, he is begging to serve Guru. That is accepted. But if one is begging for his own sustenance, it is not good. And Guru is also accepting for devotion to Krishna. So one should never beg for one's livelihood. So Arjuna had no option. But fighting is also not a good option. So what to do? So consult superior, consult Krishna. Right? And that's what Arjuna is going to do in the next verse. He's going to consult Krishna. In some situations, for example, whether to eat or not to eat, what you should do? Don't eat. If this confusion is there, to eat or not to eat, don't eat. Or like whenever two situations are there, prefer the situation which is more austere. That's the principle. To eat or not to eat. Not to eat is more austere. So austerity is recommended. Austerity is recommended. Choose the path of austerity. Cleanliness is recommended. So if someone has choice whether to take bath or not take bath, take bath. Cleanliness is recommended in the scripture. So like that, many times you can take the right decision based on scriptural principle. So, but if the situation is very tricky, very difficult to understand, then take the advice of superiors. Read further.
Nor was there certainty of victory, because either side might emerge victorious. Even if victory awaited them, and their cause was justified. Still, if the sons of Dhritarashtra died in battle, it would be very difficult to live in their absence. Under the circumstances, that would be another kind of a defeat for them.
Wait. So if you win the kingdom, you lose the relatives. So that is also loss, isn't it? You got the kingdom. Just one example. You got the kingdom, but you lost your hands and legs. It's like you lost it. You got the kingdom, but you lost your hands and legs. Huh? What kind of your life is that? But you will enjoy the kingdom. So, like that's the situation of Arjuna. If I gain the kingdom, I lose my relatives. That is also a defeat. Read.
All these considerations by Arjun definitely proved that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses.
Wait. See, if you are thinking, if you are thinking, that means you are not impelled by your senses. For example, sword is there. Oh, sword he got, just cut something. Impelled by the senses. Isn't it? Or car is there. Oh, very nice car. Just start driving. Impelled by the senses. So, if one is impelled by the senses, then he is not very much controlled. Senses are pulling him in different directions. But if one is not impelled by senses, instead he is thinking, oh, sword is there, but what do I need the sword for? He doesn't touch it. A car may be there, but I don't have to go anywhere, he doesn't touch it. He's not impelled by the senses, he thinks. So if you are thinking, that means you are not impelled by senses. That means you are able to control your mind and senses. So because Arjuna is thinking whether to fight or not fight, what is better option? He's not impelled by the senses. Oh, the enemies are there in front of me who troubled me for last 13 years. Now I will take the revenge. He's not impelled by the senses like that. He's thinking. That means he has good control over his mind and senses. And why he is having such good control over mind and senses? Because he is devoted to Supreme Lord. See, if one is very much influenced by mode of ignorance, he has no control over his mind and senses. No control. He just destroys himself and destroys others. No control. If one is influenced by mode of passion, then he has only little control over his mind and senses to the extent that I should be protected, I should be benefited, let the others be destroyed. Only that much control he has for his in his mind and senses to protect himself, to benefit himself. If one is in goodness, he has much better control over his mind and senses to to have concern for not only himself but others also. And if one is devoted to Krishna, then he has best control over his mind and senses to have best concern for each and everyone around him. So when you are devoted to Supreme Lord, then you can have best control over your mind and senses. And that is why Srila Prabhupada is writing that all these considerations by Arjuna definitely proved that he was a great devotee of Lord, and thus he is able to control his mind and senses. So only devotees can have good control over their mind and senses. If you are in goodness, you have definitely very good control over mind, your senses. But passion may influence you, ignorance may influence you. There are cases where someone was in goodness, but he was affected by passion and ignorance. We find like in the Bhagavatam, the story of Ajamil is there. He was born in a Brahmana family, had good practices in his life, he was raised very nicely with good culture. But because he was affected with mode of ignorance, so he lost everything. So just goodness is not able to help you to control your mind. Goodness is a very good platform to control your mind and senses. But there is always chances that you go down. But when you are in devotion, when you are firm in devotion, then there is no chance of losing the control over your mind and senses. So that is important that one should be a devotee of Supreme Lord to control your mind and senses. Read further.
His desire to live by begging, although he was born in the royal household, is another sign of detachment.
Wait. So he's thinking that maybe I can beg. The thought itself shows that he was agree, he was ready for that detachment. At least he's considering that I can beg, isn't it? That means he had that sense of detachment. So that is also a good quality. So Arjuna has good control over his mind and senses, and Arjuna is detached. So those who are having good control over mind and senses, they only can be detached. Those who are not having good control over mind and senses, they can never be detached. Because those who are not having control over mind and senses, their senses will always be pulled by sense objects. There's the question of detachment. So those who can control their mind and senses, they can be detached. And Arjuna is showing detachment. Read further.
He was truly virtuous, as these qualities, combined with his faith in the words of instruction of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate
Wait.
indicate.
So those who are having good qualities in their life, they are the people of good virtue. So that is what is mentioned here. That he was detached, he was having good control over mind and senses. So he is a good person with high virtue. Read further.
It is concluded that Arjun was quite fit for liberation.
Wait. Liberation and entanglement, both are opposite. Bound, freed. Bound and freedom, both are opposite. Liberation means freedom. Entanglement is bound. So what kind of entanglement in this world? Bound with sense objects of this world. He is he he is bound to eat in this hotel every Sunday. Like Sunday comes, that means he is going to go to that hotel only to eat. He is bound. He is bound with that sense object, isn't it? So like that, we are bound with so many different sense objects. We are entangled in so many different sense objects. I cannot drive this car. If I have to drive the car has to be of this type only. You are bound like that. Today one person told me his brother woke up early in the morning at 4 o'clock. Why? To go to eat somewhere in the hotel. I don't know whether he woke up or he didn't sleep till that time. But he went at 4 o'clock in the morning to eat something. Now you can imagine how much he is bound. If he was so hungry, he could have eaten something at home. No, he went out. So like that. So like that, people are bound. People are bound with the sense objects of tongue, eyes, ears, skin, nose, like that. So much bondage. So if you are bound, if you are entangled, then you are not freed. Then you are not liberated. So if your senses are not in control, if your senses are hooked with so many sense objects, then you are entangled. Then you are not liberated. But if you are having good control over your mind and senses, then you are not bound with the sense objects because you are having good control over mind and senses. Then you are fit for liberation. Understood? So one should have good control over mind and senses. One should be detached. Then there is ocean of liberation. So we don't say that give up your home, give up your luxury. We don't say, but we definitely say give up your attachment to your home, give up your attachment to your luxuries. That means if the situation comes, you should not be disturbed by it. And whatever home, luxury, whatever you have, you don't get entangled into it. Offer everything in devotion to Krishna. Imagine Yudhishthir Maharaj. He became the emperor of the whole earth planet. But he was never attached. Because when he heard the news that Krishna has left the world, immediately he was also ready to give up all the royal facilities. Who can do this? The one who is not attached. For example, you are going somewhere with your car and some damage happened in the car. Then what to do? All right, you take the rickshaw and go. That means you are not so much attached. Damage happened, fine, it will go for a plan, go on rickshaw. But if someone becomes too much disturbed, oh, car is damaged, how can I go? This and that. So much attachment. So use the facility for service to Krishna, but you don't become attached to it. So then you are fit for liberation. So Arjuna is like that. He is using everything in devotion to Krishna. He is detached. Read further.
Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge. And without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance of liberation.
Very important. See, if you have good control over your mind and senses, then only you can gain the knowledge. I will explain you how. See, if you are very much attached to sense objects, attachment to sense objects means you are attached to illusion. You are attached to illusion. You are thinking that if I eat this food item, then I will be happy. You are thinking that I go to that place, then I will be happy. So all these thought process which you have about the happiness is wrong. Because you are soul and soul has nothing to do with material objects. So the more you are exercising yourself in the wrong thought process, the more you are going away from the true knowledge that you are soul. Understood? Ju- I will give you another example to explain it. Basically, what happens is when you are involving yourself with the sense objects, it covers you with more and more with the layers of material modes. For example, you you ate something somewhere and you liked it. So that material taste hooks you and it impels you to eat it again like that. I'm just talking, giving you material example like that. So what happens is that when we enjoy on the material platform with different sense objects, that it covers us with that material modes more and more. Mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And the more we are covered, more we are away from the true identity or true knowledge of our functionality as whole. That is the problem. So if you are since if your senses are not controlled, if our senses are involved with so many sense objects, then we will be covered with more and more material modes. And when we are covered with material modes, then we will be away from the true knowledge of our identity as soul. I will give you another example. For example, you are driving a car. Okay? You know how to drive the car nicely. Now, for next 10 years, you are not driving the car, you have to do some other activity. So after 10 years, if you have to drive the car, you are having the same degree of knowledge and confidence to do it? It will not be. Why? Because you were involved in some other activity and this knowledge lost. Similarly, when you stop functioning in your true identity as soul and you are functioning in relation with material body, material sense objects, then you lose this knowledge of functioning in your identity as soul. Understood? To some extent. It's natural. You know, like then like you get covered. I will give you another example. For example, someone was having good knowledge of different kinds of valuable stones and gems. Very good knowledge. He can identify. But then he stopped all that practices, and then he got into the different kind of services of getting identifying different types of seeds, which seeds are of good quality and all that. And he is into that for next 20 years. So his whole knowledge is of different type now. That has covered him, isn't it? And then he will not be able to understand anything about all the stones and all that, isn't it? So this is how it happens. And when you are involved with so many sense objects and all that, then the modes which are associated with that, it covers you. It covers you. And then you lose your true identity. You lose your knowledge of true identity as well. It covers you. Just like if you drink, then you are affected by that mode of ignorance which is there in that drink. And then you lose your identity. You lose the knowledge of your identity that you belong to this home, you belong to this family. You lose that. You understand? So, like that. When we are too much into enjoying sense objects, then we lose our knowledge of our true identity as well. So when we control our mind and senses and is not involved in so much of sense enjoyment, then only we can acquire the knowledge. Then only we can acquire the knowledge. See, knowledge is not just read the book and understand. How much you implement it, that is knowledge. How much you implement it. I will give another example. Richness is not understood, or richness is not judged by how much money you are having in the bank. Richness is understood how much money you have spent for yourself. Someone may say, I have 1 crore, but he is wearing torn dresses. Then who will believe that he has 1 crore? Isn't it? He may be having 1 crore, but his dress doesn't show that. So no one will accept him rich. So richness is not understood by how much money you have in the bank. Richness is understood by how much money you have spent for yourself. Someone may be very poor, but he is spending too much for himself. That appears very rich. Isn't it? Many of the modern people are like that. Earning 20,000 rupees and having the smartphone of 15,000 rupees. Isn't it? Someone may come to temple in a very nice dress, but then when you go out and see him, he is driving rickshaw. It happens. Isn't it? So this is a modern situation. So someone's richness is not understood by how much money he has, but how much money he is spending for himself. Similarly, someone's knowledge is not understood by how much knowledge he has gathered, how much books he has read, but how much he has implemented in his life. Isn't it? How much he has implemented in his life. And whenever we use the word knowledge in the scriptures, that means it is spiritual knowledge, not academic knowledge. It is spiritual knowledge. And spiritual knowledge begins with the understanding that you are soul, not body. So that is what I am trying to explain. That if you are involved too much into sense enjoyment, that means you are not functioning in your identity as soul. You are functioning as if you are body. That means you are away from the true spiritual knowledge. So only when you control your mind and senses, then only you can acquire true knowledge. Acquiring true knowledge, not just gathering the knowledge. Acquiring true knowledge, imbibing true knowledge. Okay? And when you are having true knowledge, then only you will be able to realize your relationship with the Supreme Lord. First, you have to begin, accept that you are soul, not body. Then only there is a question of relationship with the Supreme Lord. So when you have knowledge, then only you will grow in devotion. And then you will grow in devotion, then you will be liberated. So like that. Understood? Read the further.
Arjun was competent in all these attributes, over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships.
Yes, so Arjuna was very qualified materially. The supreme archer in the whole earth. Not only that, he was the one who fought with Shiva and not got defeated by him. He was the one who practiced austerity and attained the heaven in the same body. He was the one who single-handedly defeated the whole Kaurava army earlier. So many material attributes Arjuna had. But at the same time, he has very good spiritual attributes also. What are good spiritual attributes? He has control over his mind and senses. He is detached. He is having spiritual knowledge and he is devoted to Supreme Lord. So he has spiritual attributes also. Now, as far as material attributes are concerned, it all depends upon your karma. If you have good karma, you will get good material attributes. But as far as spiritual attributes are concerned, because we are human body, you have opportunity to grow yourself in that. You know. So, because we have human body, we all should try to imbibe these spiritual attributes in our life. That means we all should control our mind and senses. We all should be detached, living simple life. We all should be devoted to Supreme Lord. And we all should keep the goal in our life to attain Krishna. So, we have to analyze in our life how much I have kept my mind and senses controlled, how much I'm detached. You know. See, detachment doesn't mean that, see, I am having only two dresses for me. But for my family members, I have thousands of dresses. You are not detached. You are attached there. You understand? You are attached there. For yourself, for your body, you are not attached. But you are attached to some other body. Like there are some people who are miser. Miser is not considered detached person. Miser is very much attached. You may say, oh, he is very much detached. So much wealth, but he is not spending. But very much attached to his wealth. That's why he is accumulating. Miser is highly attached. Such miser people, they will become serpent in the next life. Because they are so much attached. So like that. So you have to clearly analyze detachment. Detachment means offering it to Krishna. If you are not offering it to Krishna, that means you are accumulating somewhere or you are spending somewhere. That means you are attached. True detachment means offering it to Krishna. So, one should control their mind and senses. One should be detached. And on that platform of detachment, one should be devoted to Supreme Lord. Then we are all earning the spiritual attributes. And in the human life, everyone should do this. And Arjuna is like that. So Arjuna is a very good person. His decision, his confusion in the first chapter shows his good quality, good nature. And his decision in the last chapter, 18th, that he is agreeable to Krishna's direction. That also shows his good personality. So Arjuna is very qualified person from chapter 1 to chapter 81. Hare Krishna. We'll stop now. If you have anything to ask, you may ask. Thank you. Hare Krishna.